Hey, Matthew Brenner here from Action Karate. Today I'm with Samantha Arbiz. Okay, do people call you Sammy or Samantha?
Either one works for me.
Either one. Okay. So I'm with Samantha Arbiz, and she's going to share her story about how she was able to build discipline, self-discipline specifically, as a young girl, and how she was able to now utilize those skills and apply it to her work in school and college. And she's going to share her martial arts journey with us. So, Samantha, welcome, and thanks for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So tell us a little bit about your background, how old you are, and just tell us a little bit about you.
Okay, so I'm 22 years old and I'm currently a grad student at Seton Hill University. I'm studying to become a physician assistant. I actually start rotations in May, so I'm really excited to start seeing patients. And I started training in action karate at age 3.
At 3, okay, cool. So obviously, when you were 3, it probably wasn't your decision, right? It's probably whose decision was it? Do you think?
Both my parents knew they wanted to put me in karate. I lived very close by, and also I just had a lot of energy as a kid, and they just knew I needed to be in something to use that energy up.
Okay, great. So you had a lot of energy, and they wanted some way for you to expend that energy.
Well, definitely like all the different kicks and punches as a little kid growing up definitely like helped get all my energy out. And especially how karate incorporates working out with karate moves really helped me.
Okay, great. So tell me more about that. So what did you like most about it? And obviously, a 3-year-old, you probably don't remember everything, right? But so how long did you train for, actually? So you started when you were 3.
I started when I was 3, and then when I was 19, 18, 19, I left to go to karate. But every time I come back on breaks, I kind of get back into karate. So I trained for a good 16 years straight.
Wow. Okay. So when you look back and think about like your martial arts journey, your karate journey, what do you feel like you benefit the most out of it?
I definitely think self-discipline, as you talked about earlier, because with a karate, there's a lot of practicing. Because if you want to get better, you can't just do it by like just do a little bit. You got to keep working on every single move to make it perfect. And that really helps me in school now because we have a lot of tests back to back, and I really have to use self-discipline to plan out my schedule and to kind of determine when I'm going to study, when I'm going to get things done.
Okay, great. So it helps you kind of manage your time by having self-discipline. So let's say you didn't do any martial arts training or any karate, you didn't build that self-discipline. How do you feel like it might have impacted you differently? Or how do you feel like you handle those situations maybe differently?
Um, I'd still say I'd be able to handle situations. I just wouldn't have the experience of handling situations in the past. With karate, I always made sure to either make ways to practice throughout my day. Even with school, with a long day of school, I'd make sure to come home and be able to practice different kicks or my katas or different self-defense moves just to make sure I was doing it every day to get into like a routine.
Okay. So a lot of parents, I think, they're maybe nervous their kids are going to, they have school, they have homework, and then like karate on top of that, they might be like, oh, my kid might be overwhelmed. But for you, it sounds like, if anything, that just taught you how to deal with time management and learn how to fit things in that you wanted to do, right? And it wasn't like, uh, you know, like your school suffered because of it, right? If anything, it was just an addition, right? And now those those skills that you learn, you're able to apply for schooling.
Yes, especially because when I was in high school, my curriculum kind of kicked up a little bit, but it was really helpful to have karate because it was more like a break from school. Like my mind was still active, but it was active doing something else. So I was able to do school, and then I'd go to class or I'd practice, and then I'd come back to school, and it was a nice like refresh of my mind. But it wasn't like I was doing nothing. Also, it was also benefiting my mind.
Okay, great. So how do you feel like it benefited your mind exactly?
I think it just it helped me like focus on something else. but also focus on something else that challenged me too. Because with karate, it's always the little details and trying to make everything with the correct form. So I was still like thinking and like challenging myself and seeing how I could get better, but it wasn't in a school setting.
Okay. Do you think it's important for kids to be able to be challenged outside of school?
Oh, 100%. I think it's really important as a kid to get into something that you love doing that also challenges your mind, but you don't think of it like school or it's more fun. Not that school can't be fun, but it's just like a different type of setting than school. But also, I don't know, I guess in karate, you think always it's very physical, but you don't always think about the mental aspect of karate.
Okay. Okay. Great. So, give me 1 second here. So, what would you say to someone who maybe like a mom, right? They're thinking about signing up their young daughter, but they feel like it might be overwhelming, or maybe some people think like karate is just for boys, right? Like some people think that. And so, what would you say to a mom or someone who's thinking one of those things? They're on the fence. They're not sure if it's going to be right for their daughter.
I would definitely do it. You always have to try new things, and I know it's really scary to try new things at first, but my parents weren't sure when they signed me up for karate if I was going to love it or not. But I think you just got to take that step and try it because I have through my 16 years and plus I've always trained with other females that loved it too, and we always kicked higher than the boys, just in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
So karate's definitely not for just the boys.
Hmm. So, tell us about your experiences now. So I know you trained with us for a long time, and then you decided to kind of take that next step in like the competitive circuit.
Yeah.
So, can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so around age 11, I started competing at regional tournaments and some national tournaments. And then at age 12, I kind of took the step to compete more on a national basis. And it was very different just because I had to train a lot more. I went from training maybe once or twice a week to having to train every day. And then it wasn't until age 16, so from 12 to 16, it took me 4 years to win a world title, like my first one. So it just took a lot of hard work and dedication. It just wasn't something I could just do overnight, and it wasn't something I could just adjust from going from practicing a little to practicing a lot. It was definitely a whole process, but I think I really like grew as a person.
Okay, great. So, you obviously competed. So you won a world title. Does that mean like is that the same thing as world champion? Is that like the same thing?
Yes. So I
Okay.
ended up
Okay.
winning
Amazing.
5 world titles
Oh, you
at
said
the
five?
end. Yes, but it took me 4 years to win the first one.
Got it. Got it. That's
So
amazing.
came in
So
second a couple times throughout that 4 year process. Very frustrating, but kept with it.
yeah, can't believe you came in second. Horrible. That's just kidding. That's amazing. So super cool. I think that can inspire a lot of people. So now that you won those championships, right? And you look back at all the hard work you've done and all the skills you built up during your training, how do you feel like that'll impact you as you start your rotations and as you enter the job market?
Well, it definitely will help me just because I understand the process of hard work, but I also understand failure. And that's something we talk about karate. Sometimes you don't get it the first time, but it's not really about not getting it. It's about keep trying it till you get it. And with karate, with the tournaments, the first couple times I started tournaments, I didn't do that great. I'd get last or I'd get like second to last, and then I just kept working on it, and eventually with training I ended up finishing first. And with my rotations, I think that's really important with what I'm going to do, is because I'm not going to go in there and know everything about medicine off the bat. There's a lot, it's a learning curve. You're going to do something and you're like, oh, I could have done this, it would have took less time, it would have been more efficient. And I think I'm just really okay with being not right at first. I just keep working on it until I get the outcome I want. And then
Okay, got it. So you're okay. Okay, cool. So you're just like okay sticking with problems until you figure them out.
Mhm. Yes.
That's amazing. Such a good, healthy mindset to have. So thank you so much for coming on here today. I really appreciate you being here, Ms. Samantha, and I wish you the best of luck in your rotations coming up. And high five. Asa.
Awesome.